Welcome on to Spears. My name is Leggy, and as always, I'm joined by Walley. How are you, mate?
Oh, I'm pretty good today, Leggy.
Yeah.
It's not every day you get to have a chat with someone of this ilk.
Yes. Okay.
Top tier AFL talent we're talking about here.
Yeah, we are. We haven't had a guest on for a while as well, so it's good to just like
No, it's very good.
Flex our muscles heading into the
First guest of 2025.
It is,
which is just absurd.
which is
really.
mainly because we're lazy.
People should be just absolutely climbing out of the trees to get on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, it is.
It's more us. We've been dragging our feet.
We've been shit house. But look, it's Wednesday evening-ish, I guess you could say. We're nearly at the start of the AFL season. And we may as well bring him in now. We're lucky to be joined by, I think he's going to enjoy this one, two-time Brownlow medallist and premiership captain, Lachie Neale. How are you, mate?
Going well, Leggy. Thanks for having me on, boys. And nice little intro. I'm sure as the first guest, it's probably only up from here that you'll get on.
Oh, don't know about that, mate. I'll tell you what. Like this is big for us. Look, we are Saints and Hawks fans, but we're overarching footy nuffies. And what we genuinely, I mean, you haven't experienced any grand final premiership success himself. So he likes to be able to enjoy others' success.
Yeah, exactly. We've got to get into it, mate. How was this, or how were this? And you can go as open and honest as you want. But how big were those sort of couple of days after the flag?
Yeah, they were big. They were, especially the first night. I think the Saturday just goes so fast. So, I don't remember a heap of the night, to be honest. It was good fun. I just know it went really quick. So before I blinked, it was 6 a.m. getting back to the hotel, and then we had to go to Fitzroy to celebrate with the fans there, which was awesome. The Sunday was actually a massive day though, so we had that straight to the airport and then landed in Brizzy and went straight out to Brighton Homes Arena, our sort of training facility where the girls were playing. They finished up and we sort of got presented out there, and by the time that wrapped up it was pretty late, so I actually went to bed really early Sunday, which was good because then we had a massive day Monday, your Mad Monday I suppose. But I love that day, just the whole playing group together. Was sort of the first time since the siren went really that we had the whole group just by ourselves. You're sort of getting pulled from every direction after the game, and everyone's got their family and a couple of mates and stuff in Melbourne. So it's probably the first time since the siren that all sort of 45 blokes were just together having a beer, which was amazing. That Monday was probably my favourite day, and yeah, sort of carried on for a while. And then, but once the sort of that first week was over, guys had like trips pre-booked and whatnot overseas, and everyone sort of dispersed from there. But that was probably after the best and fairest, which was Thursday night. But yeah, it was one of the best weeks of my life. Hopefully we can go and do it again this year.
Well, every chance with looking at the team you still got on the park and the players to come in, double the amount of Ashcrofts helps as well. I mean, like, it's going to be a big year. I'm really intrigued by this, and I always have been. I've always wondered, could you just tell us a little bit about what it looks like from final siren? We see all the on-field frivolities. Then you go down to the rooms and BT or whoever will come down and throw a microphone in your face. I understand all of that. But then there is the celebrations eventually. But what are the commitments you have to do before you get to that point? What actually happens after the grand final?
Yeah, I think once we get in the rooms, there's just so many people in there. It's pretty like overwhelming, to be honest. You don't know who to go to first. I had quite a bit of family in there and a couple of mates, so you try and spend as much time with them, but you want to be around the boys as well. And then you've got there's heaps of journos in there, so you're getting interviewed basically every 2 or 3 minutes and sort of pulled away from your loved ones and whatnot. So it's a bit of a crazy time, and that goes on for ages. Like, it's hard. Can't really remember, but it'd be like an hour and a half before we all get together in the meeting room, where Fag sort of addresses us, which is pretty cool. That was a special meeting that we had there. And then we were lucky enough to go onto the ground with the staff and all the players, and the G is just empty, so it's just us in the middle of the G, that was almost my favourite, as well as the Monday, just going back onto the ground with just the boys, and even the players that didn't play were there a little bit of family, but mainly just the club. So we probably don't get out of the ground until maybe 9 o'clock, I reckon, at a
Oof.
guess, maybe later. And then we have a function where all the fans are, which goes until like midnight maybe. And then from there, we go to a pub with just the club and whoever they want to bring with family and friends. And yeah, so before you know it, like I said, it's 6 a.m. and the
Wow.
night's gone. So I think that's why they need to keep it as an Arvo granny as well. Because if it was a night
Yeah.
granny, like, yeah, you get
Yeah. Also, the condition of, I'm telling you, and I say this from experience, I think about like the start time for us as fans is always going to be the start time. And I think about the condition we were in at 7 p.m. at the Mount Erica afterwards.
Yeah, we're
like,
pretty blind.
it's not, you cannot start the grand final
Yeah.
at 7 o'clock at night, twilight maybe. But that's really interesting. Just one other, and I'll throw to you, Leggy. That on the ground, I've seen photos of that a number. It sounds like that's becoming a bit of a tradition after everything settles down, that the teams sort of go on to the ground, have a drink, maybe sing the song, just gather around in the middle of the G. Is that just, from your understanding, is that what most teams do? Is that a bit of a tradition now?
Yeah, I think so. Someone actually came up to me and said we have an opportunity to go out there for sort of half an hour as a group before security knock off, basically. So if you want to go, it has to be at this time. So I think, yeah, would have been like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then yeah, you go out there and get sort of half an hour out there before you jump on the bus and go. We went back to the hotel actually to get changed first. That was pretty epic. I don't know if you've seen the video of that, but I was walking through with the cup, holding it up, and there was like hundreds and hundreds of Lions fans at the Pullman across from the G, that was pretty sick. And then we went to the main function. So yeah, it's I'm not sure if every team does it. I'm guessing so. I guess they all have the opportunity like we did, and yeah, you'd be crazy not to take it up. It's a pretty special time.
And the question on everyone's lips is who performs the best the night of winning? Like, there's always the younger boys. I'm sure had a bit of a dip yourself, but who was best on ground over the course of like Saturday night, Sunday, and then into Monday? Who would you say got the votes? Or give us a 3, 2, 1.
Well, I'll give you 3 pretty easy. Jarrah Berry, he was on fire. I think he rocked up late on the Monday, so he got a couple of punishments there. But yeah, he was awesome. He was over the moon, as we all were. Logan Morris was pretty good, so probably give him the 2.
That's good.
Yeah, he was good. I'm going to go a little bit left field. Normie Ashcroft was pretty good, so I'll give him the 1.
Really?
Yeah, he doesn't drink, so I think once he tipped 3 in, he was hammered. So
yeah, wow,
all the best of him.
And when you say Normie, I know you're not going to care about this because you're a team player, but as someone who backed you to win the Norm Smith and someone who watched the game someone who watched the game pretty closely, I'm not taking away anything from young Ashcroft, but I just thought you had more impact. What do you reckon? I mean, you're allowed to say, I don't know, in the clinches, I felt you guys beat him up in the middle of the ground. There's a lot of 1-2 linking handballs for him that I just don't know how impactful they were. And I was looking at your sort of 9 or 10 clearances, and I just thought, yeah, when the game was on the line, I'm going with you. But what did you think about the way that all played out?
Well, from what I'm hearing, apparently you couldn't really walk, so I don't know how you remember the game. But, he was great. I think the thing with Ashy with those 1-2s that he gets, he's going forward with it a lot. So it is actually damaging. A lot of like me a few years ago when I was trying to just rack up the nurry, you sort of tend to go backwards trying to get 1-2s and go around the back. Whereas I find with Ashy, he's really clever at sort of popping one forward and then getting on his bike and being able to link up forward with the ball. So he's not sort of getting those cheap ones around the back, which players probably tended to do sort of 5-6 years ago, which I thought he was great. I thought I played quite well too, but very deserving. Will, he was enormous.
Yeah, I'm only kidding. Of course, he was great, but obviously got to think about my wallet as well. But no, only kidding. We're not talking about that. But speaking of Ashcroft, though, his brother Levi joins the club. I mean, it's a pretty it's obviously just luck, right? Father-son happens to happen when you win the flag. But pretty amazing that you get to bring in. I think a lot of people think he was the best of that draft class.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk that
up there, top 3, right?
He's going to be arguably the best of them as well. Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
Hard to imagine that when you think of how good Ashcroft or was on grand final day, that there could be a brother in the wings that's even like could go with him. It's amazing.
Yeah, how's he looking? Is he?
Yeah, he's looking good. He's just come back off a shoulder surgery in the off season. I think he was carrying it a bit in his draft year and just got that fixed up so that he'd be right to go. And he just played his first sort of minutes of match play against Gold Coast last week, and he looked pretty sharp. So he's going to be a great player. It's going to be hard to sort of reach the heights that Will has in his first couple of years, even with an ACL. It's pretty crazy to think that he was able to do that. But it's exciting for the club, more so like for the next sort of 8-10 years. Kids are coming in these days and playing so well. It puts so much expectation on these high picks like Dacos and what Will's done. I'm sure I'm missing heaps, but I feel like some kids are coming in expecting to be sort of top 5 player in the team straight away, and that's really hard to do. But so I don't want to put too much pressure on Levi. Yeah. Our team is hard to pick at the moment. Like it's going to be hard for him to crack in, but he's put his hand up and he's going to be thereabouts, which is impressive because of the depth that we have in the midfield and up forward and on the wings. We've got a pretty good list, so for him to even be around the mark is pretty cool. But more so for the next 10 years, the club's so well set up in that part of the ground.
Just want to go before you jump in, Wally. It's been a bit of a weird trend last few years around teams winning a flag and then not backing up really well. Like I think the Cats won 22 and then didn't make the finals in 23. Pies did the same 23 to 24, and there's probably a few other examples as well.
Doggies, Hawks. I did Melbourne. Like
Melbourne was still good the next year. I think they were still top 4. But
I think it's 5 of the last. It's about 25% of the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah. How do you? I know you're probably not thinking about that because you only care about yourselves. But like, has there been any kind of thinking around what you guys need to do to find? Because you can't just play the way you played last year. You got to find that extra 10, 15%.
Yeah, for sure. And I think even with Melbourne, like I think they might have made top 4 the next year and didn't win a final. So it's sort of like no one's sort of gone on with it after winning it. So it's sort of like a little carrot for us, I guess, a little motivator. You don't want to look too much in the past, but it is a bit of a trend. So I think that our program, we changed a little bit in the off season to get guys fresh, but then put in some really good work and solid work. And guys have come back in great nick, and it's a bit of a cliche and it's easy to say now, but the proof will be in the pudding when we start next week against the Cats. But we feel like we've set ourselves up really well, and we've tinkered with a little bit of the way we'll play. We've brought in Stuart Dew as our forwards coach, and he's doing a lot of ball movement stuff, and our defensive stuff we've just changed a little bit, but it'll be quite similar. And we feel like if we finish 5th, so we're not thinking we're the best team of all time. We've got a lot of improvement left in us as well. So we want to finish in the top 4, give ourselves the best chance, and we've got to keep getting better. I feel like the comp's so even too. Like it's crazy to look. I went to the Captain's Day the other day and saw Jordan Dawson, and I was like, the Crows, they just missed finals, and said, where did you guys finish up? And he said 15th, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe they finished 15th. They're a really good side. We drew with them, and then I think we only won by a couple of goals at the Gabba against the Crows. Like, for a team of that quality to be finishing 15th just shows how even it is. So, yeah, we got to get better.
In terms of, like, the grand final was just not a walk in the park. You guys just played so well, and you weren't really challenged after quarter time. I think it's fair to say it's not being disrespectful to Sydney. It is what it is. But let's go back a couple of finals. When you played the Giants, everybody thought you were done. Like, it would have been hard to see through. I'm assuming, I don't know, but I'm assuming that in that third quarter when it looked like it was over, you guys would have drawn inspiration from Stuart Dew's third quarter in the 08 grand final.
Yeah.
I can only think that that's what would have happened. But seriously, what went on in that game for you to be able to turn it around? Because what that did is that really kickstarted one of the great grand final runs we've seen in the modern era. And it truly was. I liken it to probably the Doggies in 16. What you did from the position you were in was you dominated the first one. You came back against a really good side in the second final.
Yeah.
Then you had to come and play a team that was set up perfectly. You had the extra week off. They were ready to go. You had to travel again. And then on grand final day, you turned up and won by 10 goals. So it's been brilliant. There was a turning point in that final series, though, against you. It was 7 goals down. Is that
43
We were
points, I think.
43 points. That's
44
insane.
points down at one
What?
point. I think that was
How
7 minutes
how are you
to go.
believing you can win that? And how do you turn that around?
Yeah, well, I was thinking about how good the beers are going to taste on the plane home. At that point, it was like, yeah, we were getting smacked. But I think like we've seen with footy, that's a big margin. 44 is quite big, but we've seen like 5 goals probably isn't what it used to be. Even like 3 or 4 years ago, I reckon teams can kick 3 or 4 really quickly. And we put Will Ashcroft into the midfield more, so he was playing more high half forward. We chucked him into centre bounces, and he got going. He sort of sparked us from the midfield, and then I think once you kick 2 or 3 in a row now, you sort of the momentum in footy these days is huge, and once you get on a bit of a roll, you can sort of feel it just within the side. The belief started to grow a heap when we kicked Oscar kicked one out of the ruck after Kai sort of dummied someone on the mark, which I don't know why he did that still 5 metres out. That was crazy. But we were 44 points down, so it was like, whatever. Well done, mate. Good job. And then Oscar kicked one out of the ruck. And all of a sudden, like just within sort of 30 seconds, it's in that 30-point range and there's still a heap of time. So that gave us really good belief. And I think that the week before, they were 5 goals up on the Swans and got run over. So we spoke about that at 3/4 time because we actually got it to like 18 points or 13 even before 3/4 time. So in like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then they kicked 2 late to put it back to 25. And then they kicked the first of the last quarter to put it to 30. But we still felt like if we can just score 2 quick ones and get it back within sort of 3 goals, it's game on. And that's what happened. And then Joey turned up and did his thing. And Jasper Fletcher kicked a great goal on the run. And yeah, it was an epic game. It was probably the craziest game I've been a part of. But yeah, we just, once you kick 2 or 3 quick ones, you feel like you've got control of the game again. And then, that belief just grows. And you've seen it a fair bit, but 44 points was crazy.
But then the week later, you were 20. People forget you were 25 points down against the Cats when I think Zorko gave away a 50 or did there was so he turned the ball over, didn't he? And then
he kicked it inside and Danger got out the back.
Like it didn't feel like it was over because of what happened the week before, but I'm sure that was a bit of a like shit, like we've let one go here, and that was a bit frustrating. But then after that, you guys kind of dominated the last quarter and a bit, really.
Yeah, that was really early in the third, so we were like three goals down at half time, and that kicked some like unbelievable goals.
Yeah.
That Myers one that floated through, Myers sockered one, and Henry kicked it on the goal line. So they kicked a couple of goals that you just like we couldn't do much about, and we thought we were actually playing quite well. So when they kicked that first one, yeah, it was a bit of a downer, but clearly the week before we'd been in a lot worse situations.
Yeah.
We changed the way we played a little bit. We sort of controlled the ball most of the year with kick mark, but we sort of changed at half time into a little bit more forward handball and try and take the game on that way because the Geelong's defence was set up really well and we couldn't sort of get through them. So we changed that up and it seemed to work. And yeah, we played some of our best footy in that second half and we probably let them back in it. We sort of got a couple of goal lead and then they kicked a couple. Henry snapped that one to put them a point up. And when he kicked that, I was like, oh no, we're going to lose this prelim by a point. But Cow kicked the clutch goal and then Rayner's one on the left is pretty special too. I don't know how he kicks those on his left, but incredible goal and that sort of sealed it for us.
Yeah, it was elite. Kalachi that you just mentioned there, like I loved his final series. I thought it was meant he actually ended up kicking the most goals in the final series.
Yeah, really?
Yep, absolutely had that.
Yeah.
Anyway, the thing I was going, that's why I knew about it. Yeah, absolutely. After the
that's such degenerate.
Anyway,
such degenerate work to find Kalachi. What was he like? 40s?
No, 21 was after he kicked a few in the first 2 games. So the question I had though, you mentioned the big O earlier, just in passing, but I was blown away by how well he handled what happened, and it was brutal. He's like, I think people are starting to realize he's a genuinely good ruckman, right? He's so important to your team. How much do you draw on the way he handled himself and the way he supported the rest of the team, even though his dreams are completely dashed? And his reaction after the final siren on grand final day is about the best I've ever seen from a player that had a premiership medal basically taken from them. It was incredible.
No, it's crazy how good of a bloke he is. Like he doesn't put any of that on either. In fact, he would have hated that he was getting shown so much and all that. Like that's just the sort of guy he is. And if you ever lucky enough to cross paths with him, you can sense that within him straight away. He struggles to talk to the media because he doesn't want to talk about himself and all that. But inside the four walls, he's a great leader, great person. The way he handled that whole week, was inspiring. We spoke about him pre-game in the meeting before we ran out. We had his jumper up just as we were about to walk out onto the ground. So we tried to sort of embrace his, I suppose, spirit in a way and play like he would. And what he'd shown us that week was just remarkable. So, yeah, that's sort of another reason why this year we want to try and get back there and do it for guys like him and Kitty Coleman and Link McCarthy, Darcy Gardner, guys that missed out, that have been a massive part of this group. And Oscar's clearly one of those. You sort of feel for those. It's a weird sort of feeling after the game when you celebrate so hard with the boys that you see straight away, and then the boys that didn't play come onto the ground, and it's sort of bittersweet in a way. It's kind of sad to see those guys and know that they're not going to feel a part of it when they are, but that's just the way the game goes sometimes. And yeah, that's probably one of the weirder emotions that I had on the day was seeing the guys that missed out and trying to sort of give them a hug, and you can tell that they're sort of a little bit flat. Very happy for you, but they know that they're sort of not a part of that day, which is sad.
Probably the answer is probably that it wasn't a big distraction because of the way you played. But I remember there was the story, obviously, week of grand final about Joe Danaher that came out about him, potentially being.
It was sort of came out. BT just bumbled through.
But I think it was
bizarre.
It was Mitch Cleary that broke it. I think from memory, I could be wrong, but I remember you might have mentioned something post game, Lachie, about just kind of like the timing of it and all that. But was it a bit of a did the players know that this was potentially his last game, or was there only like a select few that did?
Yeah, I reckon there would have only been a few. I still am pretty close with Joe, so I had pretty clear knowledge that he was going to be done at the end of the year. I knew sort of early on, or even when we came back for pre-season after we lost to Collingwood, that it'd probably be his last year. But I don't think he would have told too many, but that stuff just sort of filters out. And then, it was probably breaking it. I suppose if he didn't, maybe someone else does, Mitch Cleary, but the night before the granny, probably not ideal. But to be honest, it didn't phase us. We didn't speak about it at all. Just so happy for Joe that he got that send off and into the sunset he goes with a flag. It's pretty cool.
What you're close to him. I love Joe. I love the fact that he's like a bit of an enigma and he is who he is. I think it's great. It'd be great if there were more players like that. But what's he doing now? What's Joe Danaher doing in retirement?
He's just hiding away, I think. I think he went to Melbourne and I think they were renovating a joint or something that he has in Melbourne. So he spent a bit of time there. But he's just back in his place in New South Wales, which he drove from every day to training, which is crazy in itself. But just with the family, I think he's got a bit of a cafe and stuff there that he part owns or something as well. So he's got a beer as well, I think. He'll be keeping busy, and he's actually got a fair few things on his plate that no one knows because he doesn't speak to the media. But he'll be busy. I think he wants to try and get overseas for a few months with his partner Adele and his two kids as well, and sort of live overseas for a few months.
I could see him opening a vinyl record and vintage clothes shop in Brooklyn. I could see Joe there, or maybe a little hole in the wall barista coffee place. Yeah. Just somewhere like that, Hoboken or something.
Yeah, 100%. And you've had a big off season. You had a new arrival.
Yeah, little fella. He's 10 weeks old now, Freddie. So he's going well, doing all the right things. So yeah, we're a family of 4 now, which has been cool. It's it's meant I've spent a lot more time with Piper and sort of built that relationship, which has been awesome. I love being a girl dad. I actually wanted a girl when I found out Jules was pregnant. I wanted 2 girls, but then once we found out it was a boy, I was stoked, and I can't wait to see him grow up and see what happens with him as well. But it's been a cool off season and Christmas time and stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing. We won't keep you for too much longer, but we actually did ask, for people to kind of submit a few questions. I've got a few here. Some we probably can't use, but some of course that we can use. But First one comes from one of our mates, Ash. He just said, "Do you care about AFL fantasy? And if you don't, can you please care?"
Well, the last couple of years I've been in a keepers draft thing with my mates from Adelaide.
Okay.
I'm shocked. Like I lose interest after like 3 weeks. So I think I finished last one of the years, and I wouldn't have been very, very good last year. I can't even remember. So no, I don't really care about it. My own score, I don't care about at all. When I was younger, I was probably like, oh, if I score 70 or 80, like that'd be a good score. But now I couldn't care less what I score.
In your keeper league, do you draft yourself? Or you?
No, but then because we had to pay like the bloke who won $50, and the bloke that won it, I was like, nah, stuff him. I'm not going to pay him. And he had me and then delisted me because I hadn't paid him. So then I picked myself up on purpose with the first pick the next year because it was a keepers. So like there wasn't that many good players left. So I picked myself last year with the first pick.
Yeah, good. That is so good. One of the other boys, Jordan's asked, this is actually a pretty good question. Do you think that umpires should see the stats before awarding Brownlow votes? As someone who's won too?
Yeah, I reckon they should have it as a guide. Clearly, you watch games and it's just the eye test. You can tell if someone's had 30 and sort of not done much with it, but it probably just helps them have a bit of a guide. Like if someone's had 10 touches and they thought they were best on and they haven't kicked any goals or whatever, and they give them votes, then it probably makes them look a little bit silly, I suppose. So just to sort of help them clarify their decision, like I would, if I was them, you'd sort of go around, speak about it, and then put in your names and then have a look rather than going straight to the stats. But probably it's another tool to help them, I reckon.
Just to follow up on that, how did you? I mean, probably not that you're sweating this sort of stuff, but the most recent Brownlow, it was kind of a little bit. No, I'm not saying Cripps shouldn't have won, but like the amount of votes that he and Dacos got compared to previous years, it seemed a bit. There's a bit of a trend towards like almost just blindly giving midfielders votes. I reckon just if they've had a solid enough game, that's at least how an outsider would.
It was 45 votes, wasn't it?
Something 44, 45.
Yeah.
Oh, that's insane.
It's nuts.
In the 40s, that's a lot of votes. He had a great year, of course, and like I think he deserved to win it. He had such a good year last year. But yeah, it's pretty high. And I'm sure he would say that there were games where he shouldn't have got it. It was like me when I won it. There were a couple of games that were questionable, but it's sort of like there are games where you think you're going to poll and you don't as well. So it sort of like comes and goes, but 45's a lot. You have to get everything go your way to get that amount of votes. That's averaging 2 a game, basically.
Yeah. And I know you play one extra game now. It's 23, but like guys were winning it. I think when Ollie won he won with like 34, 32, and that was a record like 6 or 7 years ago. And now we've got 13 more votes and 10 more votes than that. It's pretty nuts.
Mate, they used to win them with 18, 19 back in
When
the day.
Cousins won his, he won it on like 20.
Yeah. Yeah, it's genuinely nuts.
Yeah. It's gone up.
Got a silly question from one of our mates, Tommy here. I know the answer, but he said, "Have you gone to Vegas this year in prep to go back to back?"
Yeah. We snuck off to Vegas to get the prep right. That's a good question. We didn't even go to Vegas the first time, that was the funniest part about that whole ordeal. Is the report was we were in Vegas and we weren't even there. We were in America, but we didn't even go to Vegas. So it's pretty funny that I don't know who reported that, but they were way off the mark. Yeah,
I'm not a huge shock. I feel like a lot of journos get wind of something, but then they don't like double check or clarify with a second.
America, just Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas. Yeah. It must be. They were pissed in Vegas. It must be there. This is actually kind of the weirdest question you may ever get asked in your life. So I'm looking forward to your answer. Yep. If both your arms were replaced with T-Rex arms, would you still rate yourself for a third Brownlow?
Oh, absolutely not. I wouldn't be able to pick the ball up. If I was a goal kicker, I could and a tall forward, you might still go all right. Because the ball's in the air. I wouldn't be able to bend down and pick the ball up with T-Rex arms. I'd be stuffed.
Yeah.
I'd have to join you blokes on the podcast as a job.
I love how much thought you gave to that answer, by the way. It's just, if you met the guy that asked the question, you wouldn't be shocked. It was Tommy Medallia, by the way.
There you go. Yeah, weird unit.
Perth boy. Another one about your Freo days. Ross Lyon, is he a misunderstood monster or just a monster? Which is a bit aggressive. As a Saints man, I'm a big Ross guy.
Yeah, we're Ross fans.
Yeah, we're big Ross guys. But anyway,
I'm a massive Ross fan. I'll get a little bit serious. I know that was a funny question, but like I wouldn't have the career that I've had without him. He was huge for me when I first started playing and developed me into a professional, and sort of gave me belief that I could make it at this level despite my sort of size, my lack of top end speed, and all that. He was huge for me, and I still catch up with him a couple of times a year for dinner when we play in Melbourne and stuff. So he's a good friend of mine now, and I owe a lot to Ross. So he is a misunderstood monster. He's a legend and a great fella as well. He just wants to win. He's so passionate about footy, and he's so smart too. He probably comes across a little bit hard, and maybe back when he was coaching the Saints the first time, and then with Freo, he might have rubbed some people up the wrong way. But he just wanted to win games of footy, so that was his job.
Oh, if you want to join us at the Saints in the twilight of your career, mate, just give Ross a call. I'm sure we'll be able to make it happen. What else have we got here? There's one more question, which is a bit of a stupid one, but what was a bigger highlight, winning the flag or seeing me afterwards at the Osbornes? Probably a dumb.
Yeah, we heard about. I heard
probably
about that.
Probably a dumb question there, but I assume it's winning. It's winning the flag, but you never know.
No, seeing you at the Osborne, it was good fun.
I was probably flying more than you. It was almost if I'd actually played in that game. I must admit, I didn't know that anyone was going to be there. By the way, I was there by complete happenstance, and then just saw you out the corner of my eye. But anyway, look, that's all we've got.
Yep.
As I said, there's some questions that we just won't ask, which are just people being you give people a platform, and you just never know what you're going to get. But mate, we really do appreciate you coming on. It's obviously good luck. Good luck in the back-to-back. Good luck in the first game next week. Good luck tomorrow as well with the Pracky game. And and maybe later in the year we'll check back in. But really appreciate your time.
No worries. I hope the pod goes well this year, and hopefully the Saints and the Hawks can back up what they did last year and make a year of it, and the Saints can have a bit of a spike, mate. And good luck to them, except against us. Hopefully we can go back to back. But appreciate you guys having me on.
Brilliant, mate.
Cheers, mate.
And that was great. Obviously, brilliant to have Lachie on. Yeah. And you've been great as well, mate. Go Saints.
Go Hawks.